January 18th, 2023. This is the Emini 2000 tick chart on the ThinkorSwim platform, PaperTrader. So today was kind of a interesting day. This is what the chart looked like, and this is what my markings showed up. Start off with a kind of a gradual bullish rally, followed by a huge sell-off that kind of continued for the rest of the day. There was a kind of a trading range toward the last couple of hours. But overall, it was just kind of up, down, trading range, and then cut down. So there wasn't too many trades at the beginning that I could find. And I did find some trades toward the middle portion of the day. Took a total of 5 trades, and actually 6 trades, but the 6th trade was a mistake because I accidentally hit my mouse for something stupid. But 5 trades and 5 wins. So the day started off with a gradual uptrend, as you can see here. I don't trade the pre-market, so I didn't really look for any setups because I wasn't there to trade. It started developing a trading range here. Now this line hasn't been established yet at the open. It was probably, I did see and draw the line closer to here, but at the time I didn't adjust it up to here yet. And so when we came down on this existing trend channel, it came down, touched, and I just started the watch here, and I said, okay, this is roughly my first count. I'll say first entry short to the EMA, followed by second entry short. So here was an entry here, but at the time, it's hard to tell exactly where this was, so I didn't take this entry. It came down, chopped around some more, and I noticed after I made this new high, or test this new high, that's when I established this trading range here. It came down, and I started to count as this as the top, double top. There's a first entry long here, followed by second entry long. Now the second entry long, this signal bar isn't the most good signal bar because even though it's at the EMA, you'd have to take it one tick above, but you don't really know if it's going to come back down because the trading range has been established as such. So it's kind of in the middle of the trading range, really close to the EMA. You could have taken it up here, but I didn't. And it turned out it would have worked. It was like a measured move from here and here, as you can see, from here to up, and then the second leg up. Then it kind of chopped around at a trading range at the top of this, a smaller trading range at the top of this bigger trading range. That was pretty interesting, kind of a little confused about that. Anyways, I didn't take any trades. I just let it chop around at us. You could count this as first entry long. Then this is actually first entry longs here as soon as it broke above this bearish candle. And the second entry long here. I didn't like this being below the EMA to take an entry, plus you're going to run up against the top of the trading range. On top of that, you could consider it as a failed breakout of this smaller trading range, but here you're not sure if this line here is going to dominate or is it going to go all the way up to the top. And it turns out it does break up and try to get to the top, and it came back down, but I didn't take a trade there. The market continued right around 7:30. It decided to just sell off. And so here, this is kind of where the end of the trading range is, and it started going down. This trading channel hasn't been established yet, so I probably had it closer to something like this. And then later, as it kind of confirmed down here, so right here, I don't really have a trading channel that's clear. It's coming down, but it's respecting the EMA as it comes down. I did see a second entry short, but it's too far from the EMA here because it's first entry short, followed by a second entry short. It would have worked, except I didn't like that it's so far from the EMA. I'd rather if it came up and touched and came back down, because at this point in the charting day, you only see about this much. So here it's hard to know if it's going to bounce up or continue, or at least I'm not as skilled enough to know that, so I decided to just let it go. It came back down, made a new low, made this first entry short right here, this tiny one tick below. That counts as a first entry short, pulls back, makes a second entry short. Now, I do have this trend line set up because I would have drawn it here to here, and I also drew the top one from here, and it touched this first green bar. But it happened rather quickly that I wasn't prepared to take this entry. But in hindsight, it looked like it would have been a decent attempt because this candle is really tiny. It is touching the top of this trading channel, but it is kind of above the EMA. I would have, if I was prepared, I probably would have taken it at the bottom of this candle here, probably one tick below. And as you can see, the stop would have been up here, and it would have worked out. But as I said, I wasn't prepared for that trade because I didn't have this line established yet. And then we go down, chops around this trading range, no real trade setups here that I could see that I felt comfortable with, comes down, makes a new low. This yellow line you can disregard. This is just my 200-day simple moving average on the daily chart. It just happens to be there because it's on all my charts, but I didn't really pay attention to it because I knew what it was. Makes a new low, makes a first entry short, it cuts above the EMA, and then it makes a second entry short. I took this trade. This is a good trade. I like this one because up until then, you can notice that price action has been respecting the EMA and staying, for the most part, below. It breaks above and it comes right back down. Of course, you don't know that at the time you take the trade. It just looks like that. And so I decided that it was worth a shot. I took the trade, and you can see I actually took the trade on this candle right here. I took it at 39.8550, which is right about 39.8550. It's actually right about here. One tick below, roughly about this guy. And then I was able to write it down. Excuse me. I took it at 39.8675, which is about 36.8575. One tick below this guy. I like this bar. It's very bearish. It's also at the EMA. EMA rejected. Got my core. Got my runner. Runner got stopped out prematurely. All my runners today got stopped out early because the swing and the price action was kind of choppy. So I got taken out. But if I had a little bit, because I kept my stop at break even, or actually one tick above or below break even, just to make sure I always have a free trade. I probably, if I kept a little bit more aggressive, probably could have ridden it down further. But unfortunately, I did not. Comes into the trading range again. I didn't quite see any good second entries or any setups. Continues down. Here I'm super in tuned again because I'm watching. It comes down, makes a new low, a double bottom, creates a trading range. From here, actually this top line was actually closer to this at the time, but then later I changed it up to here. So what I saw was it came down, made a double bottom, and then it came up, and at the time, this, since it was here, I called it a failed breakout. I tried to take this entry, but I didn't get filled. I tried to take it right below the EMA on this candle, this big red candle. Again, I didn't get filled. And then as it kind of trucked along, so actually this was actually right about here at the time. And then later I adjusted it to be like that. Went along, I counted this as a first new high. It's a first entry long, followed by a second entry long. I don't like this signal candle, even though it broke above. You could take it right here. But at the time, when this trading range was here, I'm getting very close to it. So I didn't feel comfortable taking that trade because I don't know if I have enough room to scalp out. So when did I actually draw this up higher? When this broke above here. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll readjust it because later it gets confirmed here. So it's a second entry short. So first entry short, followed by a second entry short. It doesn't quite touch the EMA. It's not a safe trade. However, you get a lower high here. I like that trade. I took that trade. That trade, I took it on this candle, is at 39.78, which is right here. I took it right as it broke below the EMA, and then my stop was up here, was able to get my scalp, and then my runner got stopped out. If you didn't like this trade, you also got a failed second entry long here to try again. And that would have been worth a shot as well. If you put your entry right here, you would have been able to get your scalp out before it hit the bottom, and your runner probably would have gotten stopped out as well, but you would have gotten your scalp. Went up, came around. Now I noticed that it was respecting this bottom line pretty well. So I actually just took a hunch trade, small position, and I just kind of put one tick below where this triple bottom was, because I figured it was going back below because it's respecting this EMA, and the trade worked out because I took it right about here, one tick below these guys, got swept up, got my scalp, and got my runner. But runner was pretty close to break even. Here, I drew this line. This line didn't really come into play yet. I did draw these two first. And the price went down. And then as soon as I went back up and it hit this guy, that's when I established this line, because then I figured, okay, it's going to be about here. and I was able to fit this bottom one to these two. So I felt pretty comfortable. At least the top line is definitive. Bottom maybe a little iffy. So here is a new low. You create a first entry short here, right touching the EMA, comes down, goes up, makes a second entry short. Again, the whole day now, it's been respecting this EMA, staying below. If it does break above, it quickly comes back below. So at this point, I felt pretty confident the second entry short was safe. I took it on the next candle right here, one tick below, 39.69, which is right where my cursor is. And I was able to scalp out, and then of course the runner got stopped out. At this point, I figured there was a trading range, drew that in. I noticed that there's a failed second entry long, but I didn't take it. It looked like it would have worked though, because this is a second entry short. Makes a lower high here, but it's also second entry, failed second entry long. First entry long, second entry long fails. So if you didn't take this trade, this one was worth taking. As it goes down, it makes another failed second entry long, because it made here too. You restart the count, makes a first entry long, second entry long, then it fails. This one is not as clean and not as nice as these two, because it just touched barely and then it reverses. Here you're also near the lows, so it's a little bit more riskier to try to take this trade and hope you scalp out and it goes below. If you did, it turns out working. If you didn't take this trade, again, you have a lower high here, but I counted it as aggressive because it's getting very close to here. It still would have worked because it did break below the EMA, and this trade definitely would have been worth considering or even taking. So it goes down, chops around, and then here it kind of reverses briefly. It breaks out of this trading range or trading channel. As you can see, the whole day has been pretty bearish. Goes up. Now, I like this trade here because you make a new low here. You don't break one tick below until you get to here. So that's your first entry short. Comes down, touches the EMA, goes all the way back up. Here's your second entry short. The reason I like this is because this big downtrend is breaking out. It needs to find a new low again. It also made two legs up, these two yellow arrows. One leg up. It happens to be a measured move. And it makes top of it. So I like taking this trade here. I took it on the next candle. Right here, one tick below. There's enough room to the EMA to scalp out. I was able to get profit, and again, the runner gets taken out because it jumped back up. I got taken out. That's okay, because as soon as my profits hit, I move my runner to break even because I don't want to lose anything or give any of my profits I've already earned away. So that's pretty much the last. Oh, I still have one more trade. I think I have one more trade. That is the last trade that I took for the day, but it does come back up. If you weren't happy with that one, there is a second chance right here of a lower high. But I drew this ascending channel. It's getting close, so I wouldn't have taken it necessarily one tick below here just because I'm not 100% sure. However, when it broke below, I'm pretty sure I would have put an order here and then have it move down. I didn't take this trade because I already felt like I had 5 winning trades in a row. Didn't want to push my luck. And then you do have a failed second entry long here because a new high, first entry long, second entry long, and it fails. This one is a so-so trade, but if you look at the candle, the characteristic is kind of neutral. So to take an entry, you'd either have to kind of take it one tick below or you had to take it somewhere here in the engulfing. But if you, even then, if you try to say you want to take it at the EMA, you wouldn't have gotten filled. And then if it came down here, if you had your entry still here, at these two candles, the whole trade characteristic has changed. You change your risk reward because the character of the price action has changed. So I wouldn't necessarily have left my trade out there being pretty determined that you're going to be right. So your shot is here, and if you didn't take it, you got to let it go. Comes down, goes up, and then here is another failed second entry short, not a failed. Here's a double bottom. Here's a first entry short. Then it comes back, second entry short. This one is an iffy candle. I didn't like it, so I wasn't going to take it anyways, so I was pretty much done for the day. But it was kind of an iffy candle. It's neutral doji. And then, of course, it went down and would have worked. And then again, you have a new low, first entry short, followed by second entry short. I didn't like this candle as well. But if you were pretty aggressive today and you knew that the EMA was holding pretty much all day, you probably could have taken that trade, taken it for a pretty good run. But I am not as savvy, and I haven't seen enough charting to realize what I'm looking at. all the time to be in tune with it. So I didn't take this trade, and it did work out pretty nicely. And as you can see, it kind of goes to the end of the day, and I don't really want to trade around here because this is where things can get kind of wild. I'd only trade here if I was already in a trade and in a position so that I would, be managing at that point. So that's pretty much what I saw today. It's my chart for the day. Hopefully it helps you guys. It certainly helps me when I look back again in the future and I need to figure out what I did wrong. So anyways, that's it.